Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Good Sunday morning, everybody. Hope you are well. We're looking at the USMJ sector, and we'll start it off with GWPH. So certainly GWPH has seen a really nice move, 30% in the last, 6 weeks or so. And that is in part due to correlation. And the correlation between GWPH and the S&P 500 is stronger than the other names right now. And we have to remember that there's a lot more dollar volume traded than most names, and it has been trading on the NASDAQ for quite a long time at this point. But that being said, I've been also noticing the correlation to the biotech sector. And if you look at XBI, you will see that it has been strong recently, but it's also one of the weaker sectors out there. So that's definitely the reason that GWPH is not closer back to where it came from as far as the pullback. Keep in mind, bigger picture, again, we have to change the weekly trend. So right now, the weekly resistance is 150, 135. Anything under that level is a weekly lower high. As far as the daily trend goes, our new higher low is established at 128.45. And just to show the example of the correlation, just looking at these last 5 days, let's pull up XBI, and there it is. And look at XBI, bull break, close at the high of the day. GWPH, a bit weaker, didn't get the bull break, didn't close at the high of the day. So very similar, but little differences. So if we lose the daily uptrend, anytime the next week or two, that's our weekly lower high being set, and the bulls will then have to come down and hold 105 support and then change the weekly trend. And that's what we're looking for, bigger picture, for a more clear shift in momentum. IIPR has also had a nice bounce, a little gap up for selling day on Friday, but from the bottom of 72, we went up to 78. So that's a solid 8% move or so. And looking at the hourly trend, have we lost the hourly uptrend? You could argue either way. I would say not really clearly yet. We hardly consolidated end of Thursday, big open on Friday. And I would say if we fail to break the high of Friday on Monday, so reject from 79.50 and come down and break 73.49 to change the hourly trend for the bears, we would then say, okay, the top of the daily bounce is in. We have to hold 72.33, the recent bottom, and change the daily trend in order to see any kind of follow through. Keeping in mind, bigger picture, we are looking for a monthly higher low on IIPR. And at this point, we have pulled back about 50%, even actually a bit more from its recent all-time high. So definitely worth paying attention to IIPR on this consolidation to look for a potential higher low entry. And 66.61, actually we came from 66.61, so that bull move is a lot stronger. We ended up going about 15%. But bottom line is, bulls can be looking for an entry on a higher low with 66.61 as a potential stop. And if I'm looking for a monthly higher low and I want to be aggressive, that's the entry I'm making. If I want to be conservative, I'm waiting for the daily trend change. And if I want to be really conservative, I'm waiting for a weekly trend change because we're just going to be looking for a bounce under 98.83 for a weekly lower high to be set. So now the US MSOs. So Curaleaf has been dropping to lower lows as it has broken the low of its 2019 consolidation to this point. And we are looking at that to be a drag on the sector as one of the biggest market cap names in the sector and a bit of a market leader. So we have oversold daily conditions. We can see that we haven't really gotten extremely oversold on any of these pullbacks. Since our all-time high, we bounced off 30. We bounced off of 27. Most recently, we bounced off of 28. And another one down here, 20. Nope, that's the one we just looked at. So now here we stand at 27, and we can say, okay, historically, it's about time to be scouting for a bounce. The hourly time frame, a little move at the end of the day. Was that the plunge protection team? You bet it was. 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of the day. We saw some significant volume pour in and bring the price up. We saw that a couple days ago, and we knew that the lack of follow through was the most likely scenario, as that has been historically what has happened on those end of day pumps. This is much more of a mini pump than the previous one that we saw a couple days ago. But the bottom line is we're just looking for an hourly lower high, where anything under 652 is an hourly lower high. If we change the hourly trend, we zoom out, we look for the daily oversold bounce to be underway, and anything under 740 is a daily lower high. So again, there's a lot of people, just in the Chart Guys chat room, there's a lot of people looking for longer term entries, but they're just waiting. They're waiting for trends. And we haven't seen a daily higher low and higher high in Curaleaf since we topped out at 1084 So there's no real rush here, and people are being patient for that. When we do see trend changes, there will be people, myself included, who are interested in establishing some positions, but that's not where we stand right now. And we know that we can bounce 20% Monday into Tuesday and still just be setting a daily lower high. So it's not like we're on the edge of our seat waiting for this trend change. It could take a little while to develop. So we'll be keeping an eye on Curaleaf. Also as a guide for the sector as a whole, Curaleaf, or I should say CWEB, is now down at the low 1560, about to be tested, increasing bear volume, close at the low of the day 4 days in a row. And that support level certainly looks like it's about to be tested. The 4-hour RSI is down right at oversold. The hourly RSI cooled off with a bear flag on Friday before a sell-off at the end of the day. So if we see weakness and a drop down to 1560 on Monday, that hourly RSI will be in the low 20s, if not teens. The 4-hour RSI will be in the mid 20s, and the daily RSI will not be oversold yet. And it looks like if, we can say, well, are we going to break the low of consolidation 1560, or are we going to hold it? And seeing that Curaleaf has already dropped to lower lows increases the odds that we're going to break that support level. TRUL, can't state enough how it continues to stand out as a very strong bull comparative to the sector. It's a bull on its own. You show me this chart on its own over the last 2 months, and I'd say, yeah, that's a bullish name. But it just magnifies how strong it is when it's so different than everybody else. So talking about it in the kitchen the other day with a couple traders, and honestly, I'm wondering if it's just starting. It seems too early for me in order to be pricing in 2020 Florida recreational vote. Because again, that's going to be a huge deal. If Florida passes, regardless of the SAFE Act, obviously we want that to happen, regardless of the presidential election, whoever that's going to be, obviously we want a pro-MJ candidate. But if none of those things happen and Florida legalizes, which it is fairly likely to do in my opinion, came pretty close last time, in my opinion, that's a huge catalyst for names that have presences in Florida. It's literally just saying, here's half of Canada now legal, and with a name like TRUL that is so well entrenched in that state, it's pretty much just taking their target market, and I don't know the percentage increase, but I would say maybe a 10 times percentage increase in their target market, if not more, as far as how their demand is going to ramp up 10 times essentially. So it'll be very interesting to watch, but because of 2020 Florida vote on recreational marijuana, TRUL is going to be in the spotlight for the next year, keeping in mind that that vote will be in November of 2020. Technical analysis. So our low of consolidation at this point, again, I sold, and it might be a fake out that I sold on and locked in that profit, but going to be patiently watching, because if 1251 can hold all this week, big win for the bulls. Weekly time frame is trying to set a very quick high or low and then see continuation. And again, it's positioned to the point where if we see the MJ sector bounce, where Curaleaf gets its daily oversold bounce and other names follow, TRUL is positioned very well for that. And that's the exact same thing I was saying back here when I made my entry. The sector was extremely weak, and TRUL was just waiting for a little bit of market strength to see this next leg up, and that's how it followed through. So we're going to be watching the same thing. If we hold up really well while the rest of the sector pulls back, when the sector gets those small bounces, it's positioned very well to see continuation. So 1365 and 75 are our short-term resistances. If we break those levels, 14 and 1431 will come next, and the bulls will welcome sideways trading in this current market environment. Current sector environment. So IAN has clearly topped out after holding on to its gains a bit longer than I anticipated they would. We're now giving them back as anticipated as far as just needing a daily higher low to form. So at this point, the move went from 152 to 245. Let's just make it simple math and say that went $1. So we're looking at about a $2 point, which we hit on Friday, to be the 50% retracement. So again, if bulls are going to see a bull flag, they don't want to give back 50% of a bull move. They want to hold ideally 30% of the bull move to see continuation, because now we set up for the scenario where if we form this higher low, we need over 20% to see continuation. And it's possible that opens the possibility, the more you pull back on a retracement, the more likely an equilibrium is going to be in tightening range. So we're going to be watching $2 psychological. We need an hourly trend change for the daily higher low to be established. Anything under 218 is just a daily lower or just an hourly lower high. So not looking at an hourly trend change anytime soon. It could develop over Monday into Tuesday, but we need that hourly trend change for the daily higher low. And then we watch 245. Bulls would want to see increasing volume on the way back up towards that resistance for confidence that it could possibly break to change the daily trend. Bigger picture weekly time frame. Could this be a weekly bear flag? Yes, absolutely it could. But again, we're anticipating a daily higher low will come first. In my opinion, it would have to result in a move like this, fail to break, drop to a lower low if that weekly chart's going to be a potential bear flag. CL, unable to break resistance, never changed the daily trend, and we're looking back down at 772 support. And we got a double top up at 889 and 885. And if we break that support level, the weekly time frame could be a bear flag. Absolutely. The more support levels we break on the daily time frame, the more the odds of weekly bear flags increase. OH closed at the low of the day, starting to get real beat up. I'll have interest this coming week if we see all RSI levels in the mid to low 20s. So I'm going to need a move down towards 4 psychological. The 4-hour RSI is already oversold, so that'll be quickly in the mid to lower 20s. The hourly RSI will need another leg down to get that low, but I will probably be holding off looking for an oversold bounce play until, if we get to 4 psychological, I'll check in on those RSI levels. I'll check how fast we're dropping. Again, if you've been watching for a while, you know that my oversold bounce plays in the liquid Canadian MJ stocks are dictated by the aggressiveness of the bears, which determines my aggressiveness of scaling in. So if we see this little puttering move, stair-stepping down, I'm much less interested than if we waterfall drop and don't see any bounces on the way down. So something I'm keeping an eye on, but immediately in the short term, I don't see an entry on Monday unless things get really ugly and unless we pull back, 6%. MedMen, still a potential daily bear flag, trying to hold the double bottom at the all-time high. We are looking for a daily lower high compared to 187. And if we just set that lower high and drop to a lower low, we have new all-time lows. That's currently what is favored. There was no bull volume on Friday, probably the lowest volume day in a very, very long time. And it's just bulls not proving anything on the bounce. So bears remain comfortable right down near that all-time low. GTII is about to break its low. Again, odds of breaking 1041 increase because Curaleaf broke its low. So breaking that level on the weekly time frame for GTII would be a failed trend change where we had the bounce, higher low, lower high, lower low. If we break 1041, 1008 is the next level, and then we're looking down at the all-time low. So again, bears in complete control of GTII at this point. Harv could not change the daily trend either. 386 was the level to break. We got up to 384 and rejected. And now we're looking down at the low of consolidation, 335. And then the next level, the low of 2019 consolidation. So we got 335, 3, and then 270. Daily exponential resistance, grinding the price down. Bulls unable to prove anything. KSHB saw a massive bounce very quietly. Again, 126 up to 211. We almost went 50%. We went a lot more than 50%. Doing the math, let's do exactly how far we went. 68%. So bulls are going to be looking for a daily higher low. The odds that we hold 126 are very likely. Again, the hourly trend change will tell us the daily higher low has been set, but bulls are going to be looking to scale in perhaps in the mid $1 range to try and find that higher low. So for names looking for names that have a lot of space looking for a higher low that bulls may try and scale into, IIPR, KSHB, IAN, TRUL is a different setup. It's much stronger, so not similar in that regard. But those are the names that stand out. But again, that's going aggressive as a bull in a very weak sector, and most people would be better off just patiently waiting for a little bit more clarity as far as a momentum shift. CVSI, so 271 resistance, and again, if you condense this chart, you can find an equilibrium in there. There's the 2-day chart, where every candlestick represents 2 days of trading action. 155 to 271, higher low at 184, lower high at 239, and we're looking at 184 as a key support level. If we break 184, we're looking right back down at the low, 155, and if we break 239, then the shift will potentially be on. But if we can't see any follow through, bulls are still weak. NBEV, nothing. Again, this pump turned it off for me so much. Turned me off from NBEV, and just watching the action after it, there's absolutely nothing for the bulls to get excited about. And we're looking down at support of 261 and 258 and 257. So at least there is a wall of support as far as a range, right, all at the same level. But again, look at the daily exponential resistances on all these little bounce attempts, just continuing to reject the price. And we know that with this price action, we're not going to be back up near 359 anytime soon. And you better believe that some bag holders were using that opportunity as an exit. So this is an important note. A lot of people are saying on these MJ stocks, and VFF in particular, So not saying VFF can't go bullish, not saying it can't run hard, but this is just a lesson to apply where two situations are very different. And looks like Trading Views cutting out on me right at the wrong time, but we're going to be looking for VFF. So the point I'm trying to make is when you are pulling back, you make an initial run up and you see a lot of gains and it's great, everybody's making money on the way up, and then you pull back hard and you have one of these long drawn out bearish moves. You have to anticipate that at every single level on the way down, there is somebody in a position in the red. When you're going on the way up, that is not the case. So there is way more resistance the second time through than there is the first time through. So if you are looking at trying to make a bull move and saying, well, we only needed 10 million shares traded, let's just look at the run on VFF. So the run to all-time highs on VFF where we saw a huge move up. Well, you could say, well, we only needed this much dollar volume to run this high up. And then, well, yeah, but we now have over a year's worth, or I guess six months worth of bag holders that are in the red on their positions. And when you make your move back up, for a lot of people psychologically, they are just looking to break even at this point. So my point just stands. And again, this is not picking on VFF. I'm just pointing out that when you are going back up through a range that you already came through, it is nowhere near the same as Blue Sky Breakout because of all the overhead supply of shares that will be hanging out at these price levels that you will have to work back through on the way up. So for NBEV, that's probably a lot to do with how much selling pressure we saw. Again, the fact that that news didn't really have any pop to it, but a lot of people looking to exit when they can. PYX dropping down to lower lows. Low of consolidation has broken, and we are seeing a lot of weakness. We're down under $11. We're looking at $9.85 as the next clear support level down here. Actually, $10.35 and then $9.85, and just a weak chart. And he bounced under $13.57. We're just looking for a lower high, and I personally have no interest in this name, especially when I look at a chart like that and see again how much share pressure we're going to have to work through on the way back up. Not ideal. ZYNE. So ZYNE had a daily trend change with no follow through, which means zoom out and look for the potential of a weekly bear flag. It's possible to be a weekly bear flag. The bulls do still have a good amount of space to work with to try and form a weekly higher low. So bulls need to shift some momentum here and hold 683. Resistance on the daily time frame is 820. And again, just nothing standing out for the bulls. So again, the sector is weak. We're not seeing anything in regards to the SAFE Act. The more the impeachment stuff happens, the less likely the SAFE Act is going to happen this year. And we may have to be patiently waiting, looking towards voting season. And we'll look for maybe fall 2020 to see some of that voting season momentum as far as potential for Florida to pass or however many other states. And the last thing that the bulls want to see is a lack of catalysts for 6 to 8 months. Because again, that is just going to be share prices that are depressed and needing capital for operations and having to use depressed share prices to raise capital to lower the prices even further with dilution. Again, it's just not an ideal cycle to be in. And that's the place where we stand right now. So that SAFE Act is very important in the short term. And not going to say we're just going to bleed forever if we don't get the SAFE Act, but bulls like myself will be very patient and very cautious and may stop trading the sector for a while if that SAFE Act is no longer on the table. So that's not the case, but we're certainly not seeing much as far as development in the SAFE Act. So just a word of caution out there, as again, we can always see another leg down on every single name, including TRUL. And it's best to remain protective, and it's best to strike when there is momentum and strike when the momentum is in our favor. And one thing that we'll be looking for in both Canadian and USMJ is volume. We need bull volume to believe anything, and we just haven't had it. So we'll continue to track the sector. We'll continue to keep an eye on it. I know personally for myself in the last month of trading, I've probably taken a lot less trades in the USMJ space. I've been doing well with CGC oversold bounces, but there's only been maybe 3 of those in the last couple of months that I've traded. So just hands off and patiently waiting and preserving capital. Definitely gave back some profit. Made a lot of profit in USMJ January to April, as did a lot of people, and definitely have given some of that back trying to enter positions too soon. So I've learned my lesson with that, and I'm not going to continue trying to enter positions too soon. If I play things, it'll be for oversold bounces, for some quick flips and some gains, but other than that, patiently waiting for volume and momentum. Have a good rest of your Sunday. We'll check back in throughout the week, and we'll see you soon. Good morning. One of the ways that I stay one step ahead of the herd is by out hustling them. So every single day I'm waking up before the sun, not by an alarm, but because my body wakes me up, because it's pumped to be alive. And it's looking forward to going downstairs and making content first thing. And I love starting the day and setting the intention of the day of being productive by knocking things off my checklist before it's even 8 a.m. It's really easy to have a very productive day when you're already productive before the sun even comes up. So when learning charts and technical analysis, for me it was never, I need to do this work so I can make money. It was always, I enjoy doing this and money is going to result from it. And those are two very different mindsets to be in, and you have to ensure that your goals are in line with your enjoyment if you're going to be able to do this long-term successfully. So don't forget to do good things out there. Go get productive on the day. We'll see you soon.
Shh, hear that? It's Sunday morning.